Welcome to episode 6 of Newbies to Bricks. From episode 1 through to 5, with no additional plugins to enhance Bricks Builder whatsoever, we created a local development environment. We then deployed out Bricks Builder. We created our own CSS variable based framework with which we were able to create this style guide using that framework where we've got colors, typography, spacing, radiuses, borders, all sorts of stuff here, all done within the Bricks variable manager and CSS variables, not using any external plugins to do this. We then created a blueprint side of that so that we could deploy that out. And that was all done with no plugins whatsoever. Now, today is a little shift from that. What we're going to do is actually use one plugin, which is my favorite Bricks plugin, Advanced Themer. Now, I want to make a point that you do not need any plugins to get to this point and be able to create and develop with Bricks. The point where you need plugins is when you decide that you want to make your processes more productive, or there's things that you can't do with Bricks that you actually want to do, and there's a plugin available which does it, and you don't have the skills to do it yourself, whatever your reasons are. You may need plugins, but Bricks is such a powerful page builder that for most of the stuff you want to do, you do not need plugins. You may want plugins. In fact, I generate websites using a few plugins. I use WS Form for my forms. I use Advanced Themer for my productivity features. I use a few other plugins that I would use on every single site. But I wanted to show newbies that you do not need to start with buying a bunch of plugins to be able to work with Bricks. Now, I did get a negative comment in the forum because I mentioned Advanced Themer. I think it was a bit unfair because I do not make any money out of any affiliations with Advanced Themer or any other vendor. I do make a little clip from AdSense through my videos, but it's not a lot of money. If I was doing it for the money, I definitely wouldn't be doing this. This I do because I enjoy sharing it with you guys. So it's a little offensive to me when people say that, oh, you just mentioned that plugin because you want to make money. That's just completely untrue. It's unfounded, and I completely reject that. So I just want to get that off the table. All right, done now. So this episode, we are going to show you how Advanced Themer can absolutely make a big difference to how you manage a framework like this. So we're going to manage our colors. We're going to use the framework in a different way and show you how Advanced Themer's features allow us to work better and smarter with this. A little bit of housekeeping though is what I realized from my previous video is one of the things I use is WP Reset, and I create a bunch of snapshots as I go. And then what I forgot to mention is that when you deploy your website out to a new URL, so in this case, it's called BricksATFWV1, all those snapshots are now irrelevant because they've got the old URLs in the databases. So the first thing you want to do after you deploy this, delete all those snapshots and create a new snapshot based on this domain. So in fact, I'll do that now. So if I went in there and deleted that snapshot from there, so you want to get to a point where you've got no snapshots. All I've done here is install Advanced Themer. I haven't done any settings yet. So I'm just going to hit create snapshot, call this base. Then you can restore back to this point if you completely mess it up. Good idea as you go through while you're doing this, particularly when you're learning, as you add things, change things, go through, create some snapshots that you can restore to. All right, there's a snapshot done. So I'm going to go into my Advanced Themer, which I've already licensed. And this is the default settings for Advanced Themer. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my global settings, I'm going to turn everything off. All I want is global colors, builder tweaks, and my admin bar. These other things are things that you might want to look at, but for me, I just want to clean this up. Advanced Themer's got a lot of features. I want to keep it simple for this video here. So we do that, and then in our global colors, what we want to do is tell it we want to prefix all of the variables that it creates for our colors with FW. So thinking back to our variables in Bricks that we created, all our variables for our framework, all of our utility classes for our framework all start with FW, so we know that it came from the framework. Okay, hit the save settings, and that is my Advanced Themer settings done. The rest I'm just leaving on default. Okay, Head into the pages, and we're going to go to the style guide, and we're going to edit that with bricks. We're going to get rid of all of the bricks color management that we've done. Remember with the bricks colors, when we changed a color, we had to change it in 13 places because we got all the variations. So we changed the primary color or the base color. We're going to change the 6 dark variations, and we're going to change the 6 light variations, and we have to do that all manually. I'm going to show you how we can get away with doing that by changing a single value. So the first thing we're going to do in here is go back into our bricks class and variable manager, go to our variables, go to our color map here. Now, one tip here, if you just delete that category, it does not delete those variables in that category, so they will cause trouble for you. So don't delete the category first. Click on the category, click on the little checkbox up the top right of your variables to select them all, and then hit the delete to get rid of all of those variables. They're all gone. Now I can get rid of my category. With bricks, often it's 2 clicks. So 1 click to say, yeah, I want to delete it, and another click to confirm. That's all my color maps done. Hit the save, go back to my builder here, and I've got new colors, okay, which is what I expected, right? So the next thing we're going to do is on the top right of the toolbar, you'll see the AT color manager. Click on that. We're going to roll our mouse over this box here, and the icons will come up to the right, and we're going to click on the plus to create a new palette. I'm going to call mine WP Easy, call it whatever you like. Okay, and I'm going to add a new color. We just put the color name in here. We need to make sure the color names are the same as what we used previously, same spelling and everything, otherwise the variables won't match. I'm going to call this primary. Okay, we're going to create a secondary. We're going to create a neutral. We're going to create a black. And we're going to create a white. Our black one's pretty obvious. We just slide the slider all the way to the bottom. Primary, let's give it a color. Maybe we'll go for this kind of deep red here. And we can see it changing on the screen here. But you notice here, I've changed the primary color. Primary color's changed, but none of the variations have changed. They're all just empty, okay? We'll come back to that. So we go to our secondary. We'll pick something similar, but we'll change the hue. Maybe that there, that'll do. We'll go to the other side. Okay, I'm happy enough with that combination there. Leave it at that. Okay, and then for our neutral, we want to go to the arrows on that and change that to be HSL and change the L to 50. Tab key, we've got a 50% gray basically for our neutral. And that's our base colors. Here's the really cool thing with AT. One of the really cool things, you point your mouse at primary, drag it along, and you'll see you'll get to generate shades. Click on that. By default, it will generate 6 shades. So we want 6 light shades, 6 dark shades, and 6 transparencies. So hit the generate shades, and that's done. It's created them all. I can now click on this little minus to hide the shades, and you'll see on the swatches here, they're a little bit small when I'm not when I can't hover it, but there I've got all of my shades there now. Okay, go to my secondary, do the same thing. Generate shades. Watch the secondary. All of my shades have come back in the secondary. Okay, we go to the neutral. We're going to do the same with the neutral. Generate shades. Minus to hide those. On black, when we go generate shades on black, we don't want light and dark shades of black because we've got our neutral. We just want transparencies for that. These are for overlays, for white and black overlays. So generate the shade so we get basically 6 transparencies. Minimize that, and we'll do the same on the white. It'll save the last setting, so we're just going to need 6 transparencies. And that is our colors done. Okay, so our colors are all done now. We're back to having colors. Now, here's the coolest thing about this. If we roll over that, there's all our colors with our shades. Right. Let's say, we're not really that happy with that primary color. Go back to our color manager, go to the primary, just the root primary color. And let's change the hue on that a little bit. Change that to be this sort of orangey color, okay? Bang. It's close. Have a look at this. All of our shades changed. All we changed was the one primary color, and all the other shades are automatically generated for us. That is a huge time saver. compared to in the bricks color palette editor, you've got to copy the hex value, you've got to paste it into the other 12 variations. Then you've got to go to those variations, you've got to change the lightness value on every single one, which you've got to calculate yourself. This, you change one value. So let's do the secondary. Let's change the secondary. So here's my secondary. Let's make that a more of a greenish color. Maybe take some of the saturation out of it. Make it more of a pasty sort of a green. Done. Close that. We've got all of our variations already done. That is an absolute time saver. So anyone that says that is not a productivity feature, you've got rocks in your head, because it definitely is. Okay, save that. Now we have a framework with colors that we can manage easily using the AT Color Manager. All right, so I'm going to go now to another page. Let's go to the home page, which is empty. Okay, let's do some creating. So I'm going to add a section. In that section, I'm going to get my container. Whoops, not going to add a container. Get my container, head over to the left-hand side here. I'm going to turn that into a grid, and I want a gap. So I'm just going to start typing gap in there. Here we have a grid gap, and I want to have grid. See this typey head here? That's AT. That's not bricks. The bricks one is all segmented and below. This is a lot easier for me, I think, to manage. So let's make it a 4-column grid. Stick a block in there. Let's make that a card. Okay, and in that card, we're going to put maybe an image. Let's do a header, body, footer. Body, footer. Okay, in our header, we'll stick a heading. In our body, we'll stick some text. In our footer, we'll stick it's not there. We'll stick a link in there. By default, it's not there. We can actually add it in there if we want to. Did that work? Okay, text link in the footer. Okay. And we'll change that link to say read post. Okay, now. Zoom that out a little bit. Okay, so we've got a little structure there that we've created with a card. So I'm going to use an AT feature here, which is not part of this framework. We're just going to right click on that, class converter. Yes, create the classes. Now we've got bricks classes created. We've got a card, we've got a card image, we've got a card header. Well, all that's already created, right? So let's start using our framework. Now you can do this in a few ways. We can use the card here. We can go into our border. We want a 1 pixel all the way around. Solid, use our framework variables here. So we can pick our, where are we? Black T5, for example, or black T6 if you want that. So it's only hardly visible. Maybe we'll do the T5. Let's put a radius on that. Okay, just use the normal radius. Let's go to we're not going to put any padding there because we want that to overlay. While we're on there, let's go into the layout and set our overflow to hidden. Overflow to hidden. This drop down is because of AT. Otherwise, you have to type it in there. It's just a simple little thing, but that's okay. All right, now let's have a look here. We've got a heading there. Let's say we don't want that to be that big. We can go into topography for that. We're making sure our class has been selected, and we'll do this say text L. Text, do a text L. There we go, text L. So we've changed our header size there. Now let's go to the header itself and into our padding, and we're going to do a space small. Okay, let's do the same with the footer. Space small. Okay, now we're going to go on the body. Actually, we're going to change the color. Let's do the same on the body. Space small. Okay, footer. let's change the background of that. Let's go to the background, and we're just using UI here, right? Let's say we want that to be our primary dark. There we go. We'll grab our topography and we'll set that to our primary light 5, light 6, maybe light 5. And we've got a difference there already. Okay, now let's do the same on the header, but on the header we're going to do a a background. We'll use our neutral color for the header. So here's our neutrals. We'll just use our normal neutral. No, let's use this neutral L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. That'll do for now. All right, so we've got a cardlet. We're just using these just by clicking on them and putting those in there, and that's working perfectly, right? Now, one thing I want to note here is when we change those, let's go to the back of the footer. This is different to bricks. When we go into here and we choose one of those colors, do we put that there? Card footer, background. It's not showing it to us. Editor's giving us some really funky problems at the moment. So yeah, there, it already had it, but it didn't want to tell us. See the variable that it puts down there is the same variable name that we would get if we copied it from the color manager. Same what we used in our CSS framework, which is why we don't need the map. Bricks creates these random strings regardless of what the color is. It just creates a random string, which means you have to map it if you want to know what it is by name. Okay, so there's the other advantage of doing that. So we can use the swatches now, which we couldn't do with bricks if we want to keep it mapped to our framework, with the bricks palettes, I should say. So that's that done. All right, now let's turn this into a query loop. So I'm going to grab that card and I'm going to turn that into a query loop, and we just make it say for 8 posts. Let's do 8 posts. Get our image. And our image, we're going to use dynamic data of our featured image. Okay, we're going to set the aspect ratio to maybe 4:3 and our object fit to cover so that it fits nicely. These don't display properly yet, they will. That's it. Our heading, we're going to set that to be our post title. But some of these titles are super long, so I'm going to add a line clamp. FW line clamp to clamp to one line. Okay, if I wanted 2 lines, I then add the variation with a --2. So that would be the line clamp. So I'd add the --2 if I wanted across 2 lines, like that. Okay. In fact, I might just do that. All right, leave it across 2 lines. We're going to then grab the body, and we're going to add a line clamp that to say 6. Okay. Now we're getting there, right? Hit the save, hit the reload. Just so the editor updates. And there we go. We've got our stuff starting to happen. What we see here, see that one's got a smaller title. So the body is not taking up all the space. So we can go back to this, go to our body section. Oops, we've got to do it on there, go to our body, go there and set our flex grow to 1. And that's going to push the footer down to the bottom, and we fixed our problem. Pretty straightforward, right? So all of this is done using this CSS framework with these variables here to manage all of your spacing, your sizing, your gaps, everything you can possibly think of. The only thing we're doing here with AT is managing the colors, which has made that a lot better. And then it makes it easier for us to actually use those in the actual editor itself. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to change the way I actually create this to show you the other advantage of using AT. So go back to here. I'm going to go to card, image, header. Let's go back and just get rid of all of the stuff that we put in there. So get rid of the padding. Get rid of the topography, background, get rid of the background, body, let's get rid of everything there. Actually, I think we can just click on this now. We can. So layout, flex grow, go to the card. overflow hidden, just get rid of all that. Get rid of the border. Get rid of that. No, did we put a color on that? We did. Let's go see what we've used. We've got layout, padding, typography, background. Okay. Now, what I will do is just temporarily, I'm going to get rid of those line clamps because they will mess with this next thing I'm going to do in AT. Okay. So we're back to having, how weird is that? I'm going to refresh. So the builder is actually showing me that I've still got all my styles there, even though I've just removed them. These are the kind of things that have been just throwing me with creating these tutorials, is that the editor is just not doing what you think it should be doing. So now we're back to having just a plain old unstyled card. So let's go to our card. So on that card, we're going to use CSS instead. So instead of using the UI to set all those settings, we're going to use CSS. So I'm going to go into the CSS there. On the top bar here, this is the superpower CSS feature of an AT. On the top here, we have something here. Where is it? It's gone. Oh, hold on, they hit it. That's right. Sorry, he's getting so many features. He's put it under these three dots. So go to there. What we want is add component selectors. There used to be just a button. Component selectors. That's just created CSS selectors for all of the named elements that we've got here. All right. So on our root, what do you want? Border. Type ahead. We want one pix solid. And we'll do this black T5. Done. Border radius. We'll just use radius. We'll use the radius small this time, radius S. Okay, overflow. Hidden. How quick is this? I actually prefer working this way rather than using the UI in many cases. Header, image. We're going to do the aspect ratio of 4:3 and image fit. Oops. Object fit, sorry. What am I doing? Object fit of cover. Okay, now let's create some variables here. We'll create a variable here called padding. I always go root when it's generic for this thing. So I go root padding, and we'll make that space S this time. Oh, space S. So we're going to make sure we got the two dashes there, so everything's consistent. So as our root padding is a variable. Right, we're going to go to the header, and we're going to put in our padding, and you could do block padding and inline padding is the var of that root padding. Okay, we're going to do the same with the body and the same with the footer. And this is frustrating the hell out of me because these things just aren't updating properly. So if I hit the save there and hit the refresh, really, oh, there we go. As soon as I hit save, it updated. This is some of the things I hope that Bricks are going to improve in the next version, because it really degraded, I think, in the current version of Bricks. All right, let's go back to our CSS. Here it is there. So let's do our header color. So we're going to go to the background of background of neutral, L5. Maybe do an L5. That'll do. So we've got an L5 from the background there. We're not going to worry about sizing just here. The other things we did in here is we set our body to push down. So I'm going to go to the body, and I'm going to set our body to flex grow of 1. So it pushes the footer down to the bottom. So the body takes up all the available remaining space, pushing the footer to the bottom. Okay. Footer, we're going to do a background of our primary, dark 5. And set the color to our primary, light 5. Okay, we're getting there. Look at that. That's all working. And we can change our text length properties there. So we've just styled all of this card up from a single point where if we come back and go, okay, where did we set that? Did we set that on that element? Did we set it somewhere else? We don't have to. We go back to the card, which is our root element. We have a look at our CSS and we change our values there. And all of the type of heads that we get from AT, where we don't have to remember these values, we just start typing, like typing primary, and it'll give you all the options. Start typing secondary, start typing radius, start typing space. It gives you all of the options and you just select them. So it's super, super easy. Like I'm going to chuck a border, a box shadow on there. I'm going to put a box shadow of box. Oh, here's my variable. So back shadow M. Let's just put a box shadow. You may not be able to see it in this video. Save there. Actually, I'll refresh. I'll send this to the front end so I can see. You might be able, yeah, so it's got a slight box shadow on all that now. How easy was that to create? You know, I think it's great. Now, the other thing too is that I'm going to start. I've got my own personal library that I use. Then I'm going to start converting my templates into this framework. So I think I'm going to use this on my sites. So that template, I'll show you an example. If we just go to here, go to WP Easy templates. Okay, there's some templates there. I'm going to just use, and I know I haven't updated these properly yet, so I'm just going to use this intro v1. Actually, I'll use the intro v2. There's my intro v2. Stick that into the container. I have a heading. The button hasn't been set up yet. Oop, I haven't done the button yet. No, it's got the old class on there. So I'm just going to do the button. This would be my primary button, which is just a FWBTN. I do FWBTN for primary because the primary is the most common one that we will use. So I thought might as well just do FWBTN, and that's the primary button. If you want a secondary, you add your secondary modifier. If you want black, you add a black modifier. So there is a templated thing using this template. Let's grab another one. I'll show you another example here, not pages, templates. What else we got here? Something that'll show using the actual framework. Here's I'm not sure if I've updated this one. I'm going to chuck this timeline in. Here we go. We've got a timeline, which is using the framework, the same framework, using the same colors. If I go into AT here and go, oh, you know what? Why is that default there? Let's get rid of the default. I want just the WP Easy. See, there's another weird thing it does. I just got rid of the default. Hit save. Refresh. And it will work. I guarantee you. Here we go. We're back to working. So here's a timeline. If I want to change that color, not happy with it, go into my colors, go, you know what, that could be more of a, let's say we want this to be sort of a bluish sort of a color, or there you go, it's a blue, we can see it changing. There it is there. That's what we want our primary to be. Okay. A secondary, yeah, let's make that a little bit brighter. As our default, there's our secondary, which is used on the header. I don't think this could be any easier. I really don't think this could be any easier than that, you know. So all of these changed because we changed our colors using these up here. So I think I might leave the actual how AT helps you with your productivity part as far as the color management goes, as far as the type of heads go for your inputs and for your CSS and the superpower CSS features as well. I'll leave it here as far as that goes. But what I'll now do is show you the next and the last thing that I think makes a big difference here. So what I'm going to do, and that is transferring your settings from one site to another. So I'm going to go into AT, and I haven't actually done this yet with the variable, so it'll be interesting to see if that actually works. So I'm going to go to my theme settings in AT, go to my global settings, import and export. I want to tell it to export everything. Okay, remember in Bricks we had to export the color palettes, we had to export the theme, we had to export the variables. We had to export the classes. We had to do everything we had to do individually. With this, it's a single export, and hopefully this is going to work for me because I haven't tried it with those. I might just put this just straight into download so it doesn't mess with that. This will be called export AT theme settings. I save that. Yes, we'll just override it. Okay, now I've got a second copy of this ready to go, which has done nothing. Let's have a look at it. So what have I done here? I think I've advanced themer, my theme settings. I haven't set anything in the settings. It's all back on its defaults. If I have a look at my pages, they're all still the same. So if I go to home, it's the same. Faker press, I don't think I've even, no, not faker press, sorry, the WP reset. I haven't even got rid of the extra snapshots here yet, I don't think, or have I? Let's have a look here, snapshots. No, they're all, that's from the deployment, so I probably want to get rid of those. That's from the initial deployment from my blueprint. Delete snapshot. One more. We'll call this a base. A base, it's our starting point. Okay, so on our domain with URL of bricks ATFW v2, we have a base starting point where we have still got our CSS framework in bricks only. So now I'm going to go to AT. I'm going to tell it to import export. This time I'm going to tell it to import everything, overwrite the existing, choose a file. There's my AT theme settings there. Import the settings. Okay. So reload, and I can see that the settings are already done. If I go to my global colors, I've got the FW there. So this is all set itself up. Be interesting to see if this has actually worked for everything else. I'm going to go to the style guide. Maybe I'll just view it first. There you go, that's working. We edit it. Okay, so I want to check and make sure variables, it did not remove the color map. Okay, so that didn't work. All right, okay, so that's something maybe Maxime could look at. So probably not something that's been thought of before, but let's just get rid of those here. Get rid of that there. Let's save that. Let's go have a look at our AT settings, and we got our, let's get rid of that default. So it didn't take much to fix it. There's our WP one with the framework settings that we brought across. Hit save, hit refresh. So I don't know why Bricks does that, but the background color goes all weird when you delete the default. There you go. We're back to this being pretty much a replica of what we had on this one as far as the styles and colors go. And all we've had to do is delete some variables and delete a color palette. So that's it. I'll leave it at that. I think this pretty clearly shows the benefit of using Advanced Seamer as far as this framework and the productivity of it. You know, if you don't agree, don't buy it. If you do agree, then go and buy it from Maxime because it is a great product. And I'll keep saying that. Okay, all right, I'm gonna leave it at that. If you like this, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you like this, hit the like and hit the subscribe.